I can't get mine off. Where Warner Brothers access all areas wristbands for
Joker, Folie, Adieu. Folie-Adderleys. This is obviously the sequel to Joker, which came out 5 years ago, which I find
5 years
staggering
ago?
to even comprehend.
It went into our DNA.
Obviously, this is a non-spoiler review.
And then once it's released, we're going to give a more in-depth review.
Obviously, what makes this film much more different to the other film is it follows the events of the first film, but we have Lady Gaga in here, essentially, as Harley Quinn. So we've got Joaquin Phoenix, we've got Lady Gaga, but of course, it's a musical. So going into this, how are you feeling?
Well, first of all, I think it's really dangerous to call it a musical.
So do I.
Because how many people have we spoken to that have said, oh, SNL is a musical, and we're like, no, watch the trailer, and then they watch it and they love it because we were obsessed with the trailer, weren't we? Neither of us are musical fans. We don't do musicals, really, do we? It's not I would not describe it as a musical. For me, it's like a brand new genre almost. It's like what you couldn't pigeonhole it into. You couldn't just give it one name.
No, I agree.
Do not think of it as a musical.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a horror story. It's a love story. It's again a brilliant. A brilliant microscopic view of the human condition and the way that we all work and deep in relationships and love and hate. And the music, the singing blew me away. And the music for me made it, in one way it made it more bearable, the horror, because it is very difficult to watch a lot of it because of just the deep sadness and brutality. But so it made it, it sort of broke it up a bit for me, where I was finding it a bit too like, oh my God, I can't bear what they're going through. But also it highlighted the horror and the beauty and the love. So it was, I found the way the music was used was so clever. Maybe I haven't articulated that well enough. Because you know, we only saw it last night and we could hardly speak when we came out. It's one of those.
What I do want to say is anyone who thinks, oh, I don't know, it's a musical, as you've rightly just said, this has musical numbers in it. I despise musicals. Yeah. I loathe musicals.
He sweats in his left armpit if anyone sings because he gets embarrassed.
Right armpit. It's always the right
if anyone gets the guitar out, he leaves.
So I you know, my radar, my musical radar was high on high alert, and I was just like, oh my God, how am I going to get across this? Now, obviously going into it, I knew that music was going to be used as a kind of in a therapeutic fashion. This was going to be their sort of alter ego. It was going to be in the mind and all that kind of stuff. This film pitches its use of musical numbers and music perfectly. Not only perfectly, I'd say actually what this film manages to do, and this is not a spoiler detail, I think what this film managed to do for me is, I always felt as a young child, because my nan, who brought me into the kind of musical side of films, she was always watching them, and I always found them cringe, I always found them odd. And I would always be bothered by the fact that people broke into song, and I would be like, Nan, it doesn't make any sense that they go, Fred Astaire's walked, and we have a great moment of that's entertainment where they're talking about the merits of theatre and drama and musicality and all this. I said to Nan, and I remember saying to my Nan, my dear Nan, who loved musicals, I said, they seem mad.
Oh!
And what I think he's done, Todd Phillips, with this film that's so clever, he's taken the inherent madness of the genre of a musical, which, let's face it, we're all into them, but we never ask the question, why are they just suddenly...
Yeah, why are they all just suddenly on the table dancing?
And he takes that,
you're so
and he
right.
basically, this is a film that in microscopic detail focuses on the inherent madness of musicals. Which lends itself beautifully to the inherent madness of love.
Yeah.
The inherent madness. Being in a madhouse, an asylum, you know, the Arkham Asylum.
So even when they step out of the asylum, it shows the madness of the world, the sick society. Why are we trying to make our brains fit a sick society?
And more than that, the whole kind of baked into the character of Joker, within the DC comics, within, you know, Heath Ledger's portrayal, etc., is the performer. And so you've got the whole, this is such a fascinating couple of films now, a beautiful pair of films that I could construct an entire film course and degree around. The complex way in which these films together, and especially this film, explore what it means to put on a show, what putting on a show and having an alter ego and a sort of mask on says about the person, the personality, what masks we're showing to each other.
Because the music often comes out of a really dire moment, doesn't it? And like what we all do, you know, we go out and we face the world and we give this, you know, the happy face But the thing is also about the musical numbers they are deeply sexy.
Sensationally sexy.
So damn sexy. I mean, if he said to me once in this film, he said it 100 times, she's very, very good.
Who, me? Did I? I mean, she's such
but I was weak at the knees at both of them. I left that cinema with severe crushes on the pair of them.
Absolutely.
Their chemistry.
Well, I nearly gave a spoiler then.
Their intensity.
Oh my God.
And, you know, they were giving, I loved the director. He was just
Todd Phillips.
Yeah.
I love him.
I watched him all the way going up the carpet, all of them. The way they spoke to the fans was just beautiful. And then when they came up onto the stage and gave their interviews, and Lady Gaga she was just fascinating, talking about the way that they worked, her and Joaquin. Sorry, I always struggle with his name because it's my dad's middle name and my dad says it in a completely different way. And she said this thing, and I whispered it to you, didn't I, as we went in? I said, you know that Joaquin said to her, imagine if a tornado and a hurricane meet and then it's still.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Right down to, and I've often used the analogy that when I flew through a hurricane, the calmest place in a hurricane is the eye of the storm.
Oh, yeah,
and it's like you go through fucking bedlam, and then at the heart of the storm, at the eye of the storm, it goes quiet.
But I think we saw that all the way through the film. No spoiler, don't worry. We saw those moments deeply within them, in the silence, in the looks. And Lady Gaga in the interview did say, when I watched the film, I was like, wow, I revealed that about myself.
Wow.
But I was looking for those moments where she does reveal herself, and it's in the still and quiet moments. You see something really deep go on inside of her.
Well, I mean, and I use this phrase a lot when we were reacting to the trailers. It really is a crazy kind of love. But and again, this doesn't ruin anything. What I love about this film, and what I hope it gets acknowledged, you know, in the many critics and reviews that are going to kind of approach it now after Venice. It's so nuanced. There were times in this film where there was one moment where I leant over to Nats, and this isn't the mark of a good film. This isn't what makes a great film, but it shows a truly crafted filmmaker and cast. This is both mainstream and experimental. It's adventurous and it's innovative.
Yes.
And this is always been the biggest criticism of the first film. Of course, it's derivative. Everything is, and I don't have a problem with that. This uses filmic technology, filmic language, character development, genre conventions in such a radically sophisticated fashion that if you're a film academic, there's loads to dine on it. If you're not, it's an intensely emotional journey.
We were gasping and looking at each other exactly the same amount at the lighting, at the shots. It is so exquisitely beautiful.
Gotham.
Truly, we both came out, didn't we? We just went masterpiece together because
absolutely.
That moment. Okay, it's not a spoiler. The moment with the smoke. That's what I'm going to say.
Oh yeah. I think it's in one of the trailers. Yeah, the intensity, the proximity. The type of love, it's folie à deux, it's a shared insanity. The dance that happens between Harley and Joker,
all the way
and
through.
the dance that happens between the Joker and Arthur Fleck, and the dance, this isn't a spoiler, but the dance that happens between the idea of the Joker, the person of Arthur Fleck, and all of his idolatory fans, and all of those people around him who find, this is what's interesting, look out for people like Brendan Gleeson. Is it Brendan Gleeson? Yeah.
Astonishing.
All these people around him find their own meaning in relationship to him.
And you know what? Who would say that he would be so relatable?
That's the thing.
He's 100% relatable, off the scale. Crazy, or is he? But relatable.
And I have to say, we have a kind of crazy kind of love, but also struggling and living with
We're a beautiful disaster, that's what we call ourselves.
Struggling and living with bipolar. There were moments of complication in the Joker's character that is incredibly relatable, and I think that's what's so powerful about this.
I think that's the case for all of us. People want to pigeonhole other human beings, don't they? Yeah. And we often the struggle with life is trying to not show the other bits that you think people don't want to see.
So come back October the 4th when it's out.
Brilliant.
Yeah, hugely brilliant. And there's so many, and the true brilliance can only really be indulged in when you get into the details of this film, because there's so many beautiful details. And we will be doing that review, and in that review I'll be giving you my score. I think you probably know what it will
I
be.
would really love to have our eldest daughter in the next review, because we actually worried about her seeing this one, because after the first one it affected her so deeply, didn't it, emotionally? And we were coming out the cinema and she was phoning us going, "What's happened? What's it like?"
And
hopefully we'll get her in on the next review.
Absolutely. And if the first film's for some people so intense, and so this has that same intensity, but in fact the cleverness of the musicality, because it's not a musical, allows you, and I think it's really interesting what Nadia said, allows you to take almost slight pit stops every now and then to kind of come out of that kind of, drive. See it.